What's going on, guys? Russell here from Unassorted Gaming, and I'm going to be bringing you a 1 versus 1 cast of a silver level game between MadHowie and Divine. We have Divine in the bottom left-ish area as the blue Protoss, and we have MadHowie in the top right area as the red Terran. So let's get this a-going. I will take away the nameplate, and I will keep up the units tab. So I was looking through the Starcraft replays, and we got a good luck, have fun from Divine. Let's see if MadHowie. Yep, MadHowie's just like, yeah. What league are you in? You know, I believe this might be a placement match for Divine. Okay, MadHowie doesn't matter. Door isn't. Oh, okay. And Divine just being the curious cat, just wondering, with the 3 periods afterwards. Both of them, and okay, I guess it's not his placement match, he is in silver. And both of them producing their probes and SCVs respectively. MadHowie producing a supply depot just so he does not get supply blocked. And this will be done before his SCV finishes, which is good timing. And also Divine doing the same thing, and they are still talking while I am talking. Oh, whoa! Whoa! Divine, so biggest douchebag goes to you. Oh my. I honestly think that was a little uncalled for. Just because he doesn't want to give what league he is in. And Divine throwing down that gateway right after the pylon finishes. This is exactly what you want to be doing. Oh, okay, MadHowie's saying exactly what I said. This is what you want to be doing when you're going to either be going a 4-gate or a 3-gate robo. And MadHowie doing the correct scouting of the Protoss base. And we have just SCVs getting pumped out, and the assimilator going down. What he needs to do is at least get. Okay, he's transferring 3 to it right away. What I usually do when I get my first assimilator, if I do it right after I get my gateway, I'll put at least 1 or 2 probes in there so that they get more minerals, because right at this point in time in the beginning of the game, minerals are more important than getting, let's say, gas. So he's going to have more than enough gas, unless if he's going for a heavy sentry build, which I'm not sure, it's just speculation on my part. And we have MadHowie with his barracks finished, and he also has an assimilator. And MadHowie, because I won't waste macro on typing, I'm a DB, I'm assuming DB means douchebag. And he's got 1 marine out, working on a 2nd, just making sure that he doesn't supply block himself. And Divine, if you can't type in macro, then you are just bad. Oh, and MadHowie throwing up the LOL, fuck you. Okay, and so let's, Divine, what is this placement? This is a terrible placement for a pylon right in front of your gas. And now he has 2 gateways, and he is working on the warp technology, which 3 gateways. Okay, so are we going to see a 4th gateway, or are we going to see a robo play here? I'm not entirely positive, because he scouted his base, knows he has he has a barracks. Let's see if he actually did see the barracks or not. Yes, he did see the barracks. He does not know that the factory is down. It looks like MadHowie might be going for a Destiny Cloud Fist build, which, if you do not know what that is 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. So basically, Marine, Marauder, and Medevac, pretty much, or just heavy Marine, some tank, and Medevac, so that the Marines don't go down. And we have more pylons because Divine keeps somehow, I want to say, supply blocking himself. And we have both gateways producing a stalker and a sentry, and then we have the 3rd gateway up, and he just now finishing the chrono boost for the warp technology, and that should be up shortly. So we should see some maybe aggressive push here from Divine in the beginning. I'm not entirely positive. And we now have the tech lab for MadHowie, so we can see some siege tank play here. And oh, I did not even see this. I clicked on it earlier, but I did not see this. We have an early command center from MadHowie, so going to be a little bit more, I want to say a little bit more macro based, but I'm not entirely positive. So he may or may not be using this command center for a little bit more economic advantage, even though he did use 400 minerals on it. And we have, yep, mules going down. He's got more than enough SCVs at his base, almost fully saturated on the mineral line, and we have Divine throwing down an expansion also. This is also early at the 6-minute mark. You usually want to be pushing as Protoss, especially with a 4-gate robo, especially with a 4-gate or 3. What? So he's just okay. He just got a 3-gate. Never mind. And yeah, okay. He just has a 3-gate. He should be throwing down at least pylon because he supply blocked himself again. Okay, as a Protoss, you do not want to supply block yourself. That's like one of the last things you want to do. And MadHowie looks like he's going to be turtling up here a little bit, throwing down a bunker. And the tank, let's see if he's researching siege tank tech. Yes, he is researching siege tank, and he is using this command center to fly it over and land it here. So we should see some probes, I'm sorry, some SCVs being transferred off the line. And we have an SCV here just in case Divine decides to take one of the gold expansions, so he'll be able to see that instantly. And we have not a big enough army. Depending on if he utilizes Guardian Shield, which he has 3 of them, if he utilizes it correctly, he may or may... Nope, not with the siege tanks now. These siege tanks almost 2-hit a Zealot. As you can see, it takes off its shield completely. And he should have, instead of going straight through like that, he should have just backed up this way. Right here, but he did not. And what he needs to be doing is he needs to be constantly warping in units. As you can tell, this gate did not warp anything in because he has more than enough minerals to at least warp in a Zealot. Also, what he should... And he's getting his assimilator there, and that's going to be a terrible it's terrible placement of that pylon. So what Divine should do is at least get another gateway, a Twilight Council, because he does know that there are tanks here, and charged Zealots against tanks are extremely effective. They just basically charge. If you micro your Zealots just right and target the tanks, charge up, and they'll basically, like 4 or 5 Zealots will kill off a tank almost instantly, and have your Stalkers picking off the Marines and Marauders in the back, and your Sentries using your force fields correctly, and your Guardian Shield will reduce the incoming damage of almost every single Terran unit, since almost every single Terran unit has ranged attack, and that's exactly what Guardian Shield is good against, is ranged attack. And throwing down another pylon because he is supply blocked again, and we now have 4 tanks from MadHowie, a medevac, so we will see some medevac play, maybe some drops here utilized, and let's see, he did transfer almost every single one of his SCVs off the line to his expansion, and for some reason he has the waypoint for his drone SCVs to his expansion. I have no idea why. And let's see, we also have probes on the line here, and I'm just curious, what are they doing? Why? Okay, this is not what you want to do. You want to always have your main base set to your main base minerals. As you can tell, neither one is fully saturated here. Kind of, but not really. So he needs to get this base up and running. And another, I don't know if that's really terrible placement of a pylon, but they may or may not have to scoot around it. I'm not entirely positive. And now MadHowie with 6 tanks. This is going to be really, really hard for Divine to counter if MadHowie moves out. If he does not and Divine decides to attack him right now, he will not survive this unless he gets Zealot charge before he moves out, which he does have the Twilight Council on the way, so we could see some blink play utilized or some charge play utilized, which charge would be the better option right now, and then go for blink later on if he is able to counter those tanks, which I'm not positive he's going to be able to, especially with 6 tanks right now, and I believe there's a 7th on the way. Make that an 8th on the way. And we now have the reactor on one of the barracks, and we have the tech lab for Marauder, so we are going to see heavy Marine Marauder play, and yes, it does look like MadHowie is going to go in for a drop. And he's queued so he can basically scout with this also as he goes in for the drop. So we will see a drop, and I'm going to guess he'll probably put it in the smoke here, because they won't even be able to see it unless if he has a pylon there. They will not see that drop right there. And Divine throwing out a Void Ray, working on a second one. If he micros these correctly, he may or may not do quite a bit of damage to... Well, there's really nothing going on here in the first place to do any damage to his mineral line, unless if he goes around the back. But though, no, these turrets will take out just one Void Ray, and the Void Ray killing the SCV. So now MadHowie does know that there are Void Rays on the way, and he is preparing himself for that by throwing down 3 turrets in his main base. And he is now researching armor upgrade for Marine Marauder. And we see... Yep, how many tanks now? We have 8 tanks, all sieged, and he is throwing up more than enough turrets to fend off any of the Void Rays. It looks like Divine is moving out with the Void Rays, so we may be able to see him take down these turrets if he micros these Void Rays correctly. And as you can see, he is not utilizing his gateways correctly. All 3 of them are still running and up, and he is just pushing out. Yes, he is pushing out Zealot Charge, so we may, depending on how much Zealots he has out, he may be able to take out all the tanks and possibly pull a victory out of here. But with those tanks, it's going to be difficult. And MadHowie, not MadHowie, but Divine getting destroyed by these Vikings. And I don't know what he's doing. He's just doing damage. Okay, he just threw away Vikings, and Vikings are very expensive to be throwing away. And we saw, I didn't even see this happen. We saw an attack here, and Divine was able to hold it off. Didn't get, I don't believe he got into his probe line. Unit lost 18-7, so he lost almost all of those units. Let's go back to production tab. We have Immortals on the way. Immortals are very, very effective against tanks because they do 50 damage to armored, and Divine needs to be spending his resources, and he is now putting up 2 more gateways, which he should have done a while ago, because we are now at the 15-minute mark. At the 15-minute mark of this game, you want to have at least, I want to say, depending on if you're going heavy gateway or what you're going to be planning on doing, or you're going to be going heavy robotics, you want to have at least 4 or 5 gateways with 2 robos and pumping out either Colossus or Immortals. And at this point, he probably should be pumping out some Colossus to deal with the Marine and Marauder mixed ball we've got going on here. But the Vikings are very effective against Colossus, and now we have MadHowie moving out, keeping some Marines at his base just in case Divine has a huge army, which Divine does not have an army that is big enough to deal with this, especially if MadHowie lands these Vikings. So we see MadHowie moving in, and the siege tank tanking up, and they're just going to decimate this line, and here comes the bat. No, Divine is not going to be able to last this if he utilizes Guardian Shield correctly. No, he is using it way too late, and these Vikings are landing and just decimating the sentries. And this Immortal going down. This Immortal trying to do work. And Divine, OP tanks much. And MadHowie, LOL. And as you can tell, look at this. 3 Immortal shots almost kills a tank. And now you can tell from these 4 Zealots just ripping through the tank with those charges. Zealots are so effective against tanks as long as they have charge so they can actually get in range. So Divine actually doing quite a bit of damage to his army, but I don't believe he will be able to pull this off because MadHowie is streaming units down here. Divine has nothing going on in his base. He is almost mined out. He has no probes here other than this one, and MadHowie just kind of sitting here, not really doing much, just streaming units down. And we have a Marauder in here for some odd reason, and there goes the Nexus from Divine. And Divine pumping out some more Immortals just to deal with those tanks, because Immortals are so effective. I'm going to keep saying this, Immortals are very effective against tanks. If you need to counter tanks, use Immortals. They will basically 3-shot, almost 4-shot a tank, and Zealots. Zealot Charge is extremely effective against tanks. So we need to see more Zealots and more Immortals from Divine, but unfortunately I don't believe that will be enough against this army of this size from MadHowie, and MadHowie throwing 1, 2, 3 expansions down, and Divine taking the gold but having no probes whatsoever on it. And here comes the main attack, and these Zealots are just ripping through these tanks, as I was saying. And these Immortals, 2 kills, just racking them up. Immortals are quite strong against Marauders also, because the Marauders are armored, so Immortals do a lot of damage against Marauders. And there goes the game. MadHowie taking this by, I'm honestly going to say MadHowie taking this by a landslide. If we go to Army tab, he has 86-30 and quite a few minerals saved up. Resources, quite a few. If we go to income, yes, his income is much higher than Divine's, but then again, this is at the end of the game, his income, and I don't know why he's putting down 3 more expansions, just because maybe he knew that the game was over. If Divine would have utilized this base, I did not even see him put that down. Let's see, is to 17. Where did he put that down at? Yep, he put that down at the 17 mark. If he would have actually utilized this base, well, it was already kind of late, and he was trying to send his probes there anyway, so, but they got decimated, so there's really no way he could have utilized that correctly, because he was, well, the game was already done right at this point. Divine didn't really stand a chance after this, because the tanks basically blocking this exit ramp off. The only thing he could have done was a warp prism and taken a few of these things on, but that would have just dragged the game on longer, and it would have been, there would have been no reason to it. So a few things Divine could have done differently. A, he could have gone 3-gate robo into a fast expand, or B, 4-gate and then push at the 6-minute mark, because if he would have at least gone for a 4-gate and pushed at the 6-minute mark, he would have been able to rush a little bit, delay most of this attack, and made the game go on a little bit longer. I'm not sure if he would have won or not. It all depends on how well he would have microed his units when he pushed in for that 6-minute mark for the 4-gate, because right off the bat, before the warp gates were even up, he had enough units to effectively fend off whatever MadHowie had. What MadHowie could have done, instead of building so many SCVs at his expansion, he could have left some at his main, so he would have been, so his harvest, like his mineral capacity, I'm sorry for kind of stumbling, just trying to get it all out at once. His mineral capacity would have been like much higher. He would have been able to pump out much more units instead of basically what he has now. And he, at the end here, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 barracks, 1 factory, and a starport. He could have made at least another factory and just stuck with a 1 starport, so another factory, and pumped out more siege tanks. But MadHowie having actually decent play, other than the fact for his mineral usage, and then Divine just, I'm not even sure what kind of build Divine was going for. What he should have done is either the 4-gate push, 3-gate robo off the beginning, which the 3-gate robo is you get your 3 warp gates, your robotics factory, and then go for an early expand with the help from Immortals and some Colossus to fend off. And then with the Colossus, he would have been able to easily counter these Marines and Marauders. So that's one thing he could have done. Could have gone a little bit for a quicker Twilight Council, maybe some DTs, because he wasn't even using his energy for scan. He was basically using them for mules. And this one is full. He could have at least scanned to figure out what he had in his main base to see what was going on. Maybe a little bit of Phoenix play from Divine to pick up the tanks and basically stop the tanks from doing anything. Because MadHowie, I don't think, would have been focusing on the Phoenix, as long as if the army was all in one clump, he would have been focusing on that army. And if the Phoenix came in and picked off the tanks, there would have been a lot of the damage reduced right there, because most of that battle was from the tanks. All of that damage done was basically from the tanks. So that's one thing Divine could have done. And one other thing I couldn't remember, I've had it a little bit ago, but I can't remember it now. Basically resaturated his main, and the waypoint go, instead of the waypoint being at his expansion, being on his main mineral line. So yeah, there was a few things that he did wrong. Pylon placement. But yeah, it is a silver league game, so yep. So yeah, don't forget, I will leave you with this, and don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and let me know how I'm doing, and I will see you guys later.